Hello students. Okay, we have worked our way through the methodology chapter. Now we're moving on to study unit 3, nature and significance it's called. Well, we had to call it something, but it really is a continuation of the methodology chapter. All right, so we're not dealing with specific instances, occurrences, specific movements yet. We're still talking broadly about how we study them. In this case, when we're studying them, what kind of terms do we use? What kind of groups do we put them into? And these are, when you put things into groups, it's called the typology. Okay, so we don't give you a lot about how to create your own typology. And that is something that we can talk about when you sign up for a PhD. For now, you have to learn a couple of existing typologies. The first one is by Anthony and Robbins. They distinguish two types of NRM, dualistic and monistic. Now, if you've been doing a bit of philosophy of religion, even if you've been doing a bit of theology, if you've studied trends within Hinduism, then you'll have an idea. A dualistic philosophy is something that says there are two roughly equally important factors, entities, right? And so in religious terms, that would be God, which is the more important factor, and the world, which is the less important factor. Now, just how much more or less important depends on the exact wording of that particular group, but yeah, it's pretty much a case of they are both important, one is more important than the other. Right. So most NRMs that sort of harken back to a Judeo-Christian base, however far away that may be, are dualistic in nature. All right. The other one, which is more complicated for most of you, I'm sure, is monistic. Monistic is a philosophy that says everything is one. And all these divisions and separations that you see are just illusion. It's not real. If you could see reality as it really is, then everything is one. Okay, so if you are going to see monistic NRM, most likely they're going to have an Asian undertone. Some ideas from Buddhism, from Hinduism, from the Chinese religions, of course. Okay, so I don't know. Yeah, sure. It's an easy distinction to make. You don't need to dig very deeply into a group's theology to figure out which one they are. But does it really tell us something new, interesting? Okay, then the typology by Wallace. Now, make sure that you understand who did what typology. Because if I'm going to ask this, then I will simply say, give me Wallace's typology. If you give me the wrong one, yeah, that's too bad. Okay? And make sure you drum this into your head. Right? The first one is by Anthony and Robbins, 2. The second one is by Wallace, 3. Don't give me the wrong one. Right. Now what these guys do, let me just page down so I can get there. They have world rejecting, world affirming, and world accommodating movements. And I think I'm being chased out of my office so it can get cleaned. Let me stop this and come in, and we'll talk again. Okay, we're back, and now we're really in unknown territory because I normally record these things in one go, and now I have to stitch the two pieces together. Well, live and learn. Right. What were we talking about? World rejecting, world affirming, and world accommodating movements. Right? So there you see a nice little picture, a triangle with a few examples in it, but that doesn't really tell you much. Okay, world rejecting movements. Okay, so that would be a movement that says only here within the movement is there salvation, is there reality, is there truth and love. The world out there is evil and depraved and wrong. Okay? So, now at first you may think that describes the Catholic Church. However, we are talking about NRMs here, so let's just stick to that. Right, there you find a long thing by Wallace on what world rejecting movements are. The world rejecting movement views the prevailing social order as having departed substantially from God's prescriptions and plan. Okay, read that, understand it, right. Then you see, why do people join these groups? Well, why do you join any religion, I suppose? But yeah, these groups speak to people who really feel that the world we live in can no longer be saved. Only a small group perhaps can save themselves. Now, such world-rejecting groups do not have to be religious. You can have radical political groups that say, forget about the world, we can just save a small group. If you look on DSTV, on some of I think it's on the History Channel, the ex-History Channel, there's no more actual history on it. There's this thing, Doomsday Preppers. Now those people are world rejecting. They say the world's going to hell in a handbasket and we can just save ourselves. I think it's the same idea, but now we're talking about it in a religious context. Alright, then world affirming movements. Right, and so these guys say, yeah, there's a lot of things that are wrong in the world, but hey, we can show you, while living in this world, without withdrawing into a tight little commune, how you can unlock your potential, how you can be the best you can be while still living in this world. Generally, that doesn't mean that you need to believe very much. Just follow this technique, which we offer you for a moderate fee, and you'll be fine. Alright, and again, you did a section there on why people join these groups. Read it. Alright, and world accommodating. Okay, that one is more complicated. The other two, yeah. The other two are you're either in or you're out of the world, right? So if you're world rejecting, you reject the world. If you're world affirming, we're going to make this a better world. World accommodating, well, it is, yeah, the world is bad, but we're not going to pull out completely. We're going to create a little pure enclave within this world, and we're going to keep on interacting with it when we choose. Now, Wallace didn't have much to say about it because most of those movements date back to before World War II, and there haven't actually been a lot of new world accommodating movements since then, right? And here you see are a few examples. Now the thing is that charismatic movements and the neo-Pentecostal groups, those guys are now so numerous, so normal, that would we still classify them as NRMs? Right, another one, the Soka Gakkai, which is a Buddhist movement known in America as Nichiren Shoshu of America. They do have a branch in South Africa. There's not very many of them. And, okay, you know, in Japan, the Soka Gakkai is so huge that you wouldn't call it a new religious movement. You know, America, probably still. In South Africa, definitely, they're very new. But the thing is that world accommodating movements are on their way to becoming just regular denominations. You know, right now, if somebody says, yes, I'm a charismatic Christian, then you're not going to raise an eyebrow. Okay, you're a charismatic Christian. Good for you. Yeah. If he says, oh, I belong to the Soka Gakkai, then you say, what? Because that's new, that's unusual. Okay, but come back 100 years from now. Maybe somebody says, I'm Soka Gakkai. Okay, right. Right, so the strange becomes the routine. This is one of the oldest stories in the history of religion. You see it over and over and over again. Now, the people who were persecuted 100 years ago for belonging to a certain religion are now slightly oddball, and 100 years from now, nobody will care. And new, strange religions arise to take their place. That is the story of new religious movements. Okay, there's a couple of activities there. Please do the activities, it'll help you. Right. And then there is, I'm going to have to do something about that. Because if you are working from the paper version of the book 3.3, why do people join NRMs, then you really don't want to retype that long thing. Okay, look on the web page where you're probably watching this video, and I'll see if I can shorten it for you. Alright, oh, there's another one. Hey, okay, I didn't put in those long things. Right, let's see the significance. Right, there's an article by Barker that you need to read, and then there's another activity. Okay, I'm not going to run you through this activity. This is up to you. Now, do that. Read the article by Barker. Do the activity. And that brings us to the end of this chapter. Now let's see if I can get this video back together.